Guys, this is Tiermaker, List 8413, Tiermaker of, well, major American historical events. It started out only with 6 events, and I had to add 2 of them, World War One and the moon landing. I'm not sure why. But, first of all, the American Revolution, obviously probably the most important event in American history. It became a global conflict. The French, the Spanish, a lot of the Low Countries ended up entering it. I'm kind of surprised we won, to be honest. If you ever read about the conflict in detail, there was a lot of behind the scenes happening, and the British generals, some of them were very intelligent, and some of them were just kind of stupid. I don't think they understood what was going on. Back in England, there's slowly, especially businesses, really got upset about this war because it was all about financing. And it didn't help when you're pouring more money into a war. You get the point. Now, I think the next one is the War of 1812. I would say it's important. Well, I would say some historians say it's more. Oh, important? Mom says I'm important. I don't know. I think it's almost stuck between these two. I'll put it as important. But to be honest, even if it hadn't happened, I don't think it would have affected things much. At best, it meant that the Americans were now an actual nation that you had to, if you wanted to start a war with us, well, you might not do too well. And we almost lost that. Let's be honest. Also, New England, near the end of it, was about to break off and join Nova Scotia and Canada. So if we hadn't won it, that would have been a bad thing. Also, if we hadn't fought it, probably not much would have happened anyway. So, half of this, a little bit of that. American Civil War, very important. Not the most important, but it did affect us, changed the way we see things. I'm not sure what happened if the South had won. I'm not sure if that happened if this Civil War had not happened. There's plenty of books out there you can read. So, it's World War One. Funny enough, World War One wasn't on this. I had to add it. It is very important. It brought about the Depression. It brought about World Depression, actually. Brought about World War II, Cold War, almost everything else that happened. So actually, let's put it above War of 1812. Now, after this, of course, was the Depression. This is important that it did bring about almost everything else after that. A lot of the Great Depression was also affected by what other nations did. There's a few European nations. I don't want to name anything. I don't want to get into details. I don't want to spend in half an hour here. But that took huge American loans, then forfeited. They basically declared bankruptcy. And that did not help. It did bring about World War II. Once again, I can't say the most important, but it is very important. And it brought around, World War I also, let's point out, brought around the Soviet Union. And the Cold War, I would say, the Cold War, I grew up in the Cold War and I was scared of dying. I would say it's very important. Now, the Cold War did bring around the space race, and the Soviets were winning most of that, to be honest. They got most of the STEAM achievements, as you could say, but we're the ones who finally landed a manned craft on the moon. I'm going to put it on important because, on one hand, it kind of ended the Cold War. The Soviet Union collapsed later on in the 90s, but they still, at this point, it was downhill. But the fact is, we didn't go back to the moon. We're still plotting and talking about going back to the moon. Yes, the moon landing really did help boost the space race. Well, ended the space race in some ways, but also boosted our need to get in space, put up satellites and space station and all that stuff. But besides scientific achievements, and yes, look, we did before the Soviets did. It's almost Mom says I am important. Like, only historians kind of, like the War of 1812 really should probably go down here. I'm going to put down there. I'm sorry. But at least none of them are nah. So yeah, most important, American Revolution, Civil War, World War I, World War II, Cold War, very important. Depression, moon landing, important. Mom says I'm important, 1812. Okay, guys. There should be more events on this, but to be honest, I don't know. I was thinking about real important American events, and I had to add two of them. But the others, I'm like, oh, Manifest Destiny? I don't know. Uh, Mexican American War? It's one of those things where it's like, how important historians say it is, and how important it really was, and how important I think it is. Because this is an opinion, really, mostly. So I'm going to leave it here. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.